Hey everybody, I'm Marissa, and today is part 2 of Unlocking Shipwrecks, and today we're going to talk about wreck penetration. So let's dive in. Entering a shipwreck or in a space where you're no longer in open water is a big step in your dive training. It comes with a lot of added risks, which is why a lot of divers choose to only explore the outside of a wreck, which is totally fine by the way. But for those seeking more challenge and adventure, wreck penetration can be incredibly rewarding if it's done the right way. And this is the golden rule: do it right or don't do it at all. Trying to go inside a wreck without the right training, equipment, or procedures can be dangerous, even deadly. Some wrecks may seem extremely harmless, but they can hide real hazards that can trap or disorient an unprepared diver. Wreck diving does require extra certification and training. If you're interested in wreck diving, please see a reputable dive shop and instructor that you trust. This video does not replace any formal dive training. Now for this episode and for recreational diving, we're going to explore stable wrecks that are within the light zone. Anything beyond that, it gets more into technical and commercial diving, which I'm not certified for, so I'm not going to talk about it. The first thing we're going to talk about is essential gear for wreck penetration. The first thing being are your dive lights. This is my primary and this is my backup. Even during the day, the deeper you go into a wreck, the darker it's going to get. You should always carry at least 2 dive lights, and many divers carry more. For me, if I'm taking my camera, which I probably am, I have 2 dive lights on those, which are 8,000 lumen each, and then I do carry these 2 as well. So I have a total of 4 lights. The more the better. But when you're learning, you never want to carry the camera and that camera setup with you because it does require a little bit multitasking. You want to make sure you're comfortable within the wreck before you do that. But the lights can fail, the bulbs can burn out, even a good well-maintained dive light can flood. So having more than 1, maybe even more than 2 is non-negotiable. The second thing you're going to want is a penetration line and reel. If the visibility drops or if you get disoriented for any reason, this line is going to connect you to the exit of the shipwreck. There's a lot of fatalities within the wrecks that normally have one common thing, that there was no continuous line to open water. The reel should lock and it should work smoothly with one hand. And now I will do an example. Okay, so I'm going to try and do an example with my breakfast bar chairs on how to use the reel. So this is my wreck. Pretend this is my wreck. You might have a hook on it where you can just simply get something stable on the wreck that you can put it on, and you're going to hook it. And there we go. So now we're entering the wreck. So we're going to unlock this and we're going to swim through the wreck right here. This is as far that I want to go right here. So now when it's time to come back, I know my way out. I can clearly follow this line. For example, if I'm holding the line and I have a buddy with me, now I'm going to be the buddy. Okay, you would not hook it up like that. It would just stay on the diver, but for this purpose, this is what I'm going to do. So pretend you're the other diver and you don't have the line. So you don't have the line and you're just following your dive buddy who has the line. Instead of just following the line because you see it, if the visibility is low or if you get disoriented for whatever reason, as a safeguard, you're always going to have one hand. You're going to make like an O with your fingers and you're going to have it around the line and you're just going to follow it in like this. And when it's time to come out and your buddy signals you with the reel, time to come out, you're never going to let go of the line, especially if it's low visibility. You're going to hook onto the line and you're going to follow the line out just like that, right to the exit. And then the diver who has the line, they're going to unlock it again. And then as they swim out, they're going to follow the line and just reel it in. And then they get to the exit point of the wreck and they're going to take it off and go about their dive. There you go. The third thing you're going to want to bring with you just in case is a slate. And I got this slate on Amazon. I think it was like 12 bucks. I can put the link in the description below too, but I love it. If you're in a tight spot and hand signals aren't an option, you can always write on your slate just so you can stay on the same page as your buddy. The fourth thing being is a redundant air supply. This is optional, but it is a smart move, especially if you're going to spend more time within that wreck. For example, this would be like a pony bottle. So this is a pony bottle here, and what you would do is strap it to you, and you would have an extra regulator right here attached to it. So in case there's anything going on with low air supply or any issue, an emergency, you have this as a backup. And if you're diving deeper wrecks, where you're going to have low air or lower air coming up, and you want to make sure you have enough air for your safety stop. You can also attach a pony bottle to your safety stop line at around 15 feet, where you can then breathe off of that just in case you need to. The next thing we're going to talk about is knowing your limits. Penetration diving has very clear recreational limits, and this is designed to keep risk manageable. These also go hand in hand with your equipment and with your training. Number one is going to be staying within the light zone. So yes, this means no wreck penetration dives at nighttime. Always stay where you can see natural light coming from an entrance or an exit. This will help you orient yourself and give you a visual reference just in case your lights fail. Number two is being the maximum distance of 130 feet. And this is for recreational diving because that's what I'm trained in and that's what these videos are all for. The maximum depth is 130 feet. So if a wreck sits at 100 feet, do not go into that ship more than 30 feet. It's going to be 130 maximum. Another example is if a shipwreck sits at 80 feet, don't go into that ship more than 50 feet. The third thing is to plan your air accordingly. Make sure you plan your air for the entire dive. You don't want to use all the air inside the wreck and then not have enough for a safety stop. This is also another reason why you might want to have a pony bottle at that safety stop, just in case something goes wrong and you do need that extra air, you have it. And once you're out of the wreck, you can continue the dive as normal. And the fourth thing being, never go in tight spaces. You never want to go in an opening that's too small for you and your buddy. It's just not worth the risk. So let's talk about wreck penetration. This is when divers enter the inside of a sunken wreck, not just swim around it. It's a whole different experience from open water diving. Now, this isn't something you should attempt unless you've had proper training, but for informational purposes, this is what goes into it. First off, as we know, the environment inside a wreck can be tight and enclosed. You have limited space, very little to no natural light, and you have silt sitting on the bottom, the walls, the ceiling, pretty much anywhere inside the wreck. The silt can easily get stirred up and reduce visibility to almost nothing. So every movement needs to be slow and controlled. Before going inside the wreck, divers will usually explore the outside of a wreck first to identify any hazards and what the safe entry and exit points are going to be. If you didn't see my part 1 episode on the wreck diving, this is where I talk about the hazards and what to look out for, so I'll leave a link for that episode in the description below. Then, once they're ready, and they'll use this reel, they'll hook it to something on the outside of a wreck, something stable that's not going to get torn away in the current or it's going to fall off. And then they're going to unlock it and they're going to follow this inside the wreck, and this is going to be their way out as well. You'll notice that I don't use a penetration line in these wreck dives. All these wrecks I dive are artificial reefs. They were intentionally sunk for divers. They're fully prepped for safe explorations, cleared of most hazards, although coral reef you can't exactly control, and corrosion over time. These are things you always have to look out for. They have wide, open passages and exit points that allow in a lot of natural light. These wrecks are designed to be entered safely, but with proper training, of course. Natural wrecks can be extremely unstable, dark, and dangerous, without clear exits or visibility. Safety always comes first. Inside, divers rely heavily on their buoyancy skills and special fin kicks, such as the frog kick and the modified flutter kick. This is to avoid stirring up the bottom, and multiple dive lights are always carried on them. Penetration dives require clear communication, tight team coordination, and strict air management. It's all about planning and staying within your limits. Next thing we're going to talk about is researching a wreck. For a lot of divers, wreck diving isn't just about visiting a sunken ship. It's about uncovering its story. For those who really connect with the historical side of wrecks, the adventure often starts long before the dive. Digging through old archives, libraries, museums, or even online forums can be just as exciting as exploring the wreck underwater. If you're into artificial reefs and marine life, you might focus more on how that wreck became a habitat for these animals. But if you're fascinated by history and maritime archaeology, you're probably going to want to learn why and when the ship sank, the number of passengers on board, and what its main mission was. Even if you're not a history buff, doing a little research before each wreck can really enhance your experience in 3 ways. First, it can explain the wreck's location and its condition. For example, if you know how long the wreck has been underwater, you might get a good idea of what kind of marine life you'll see there, which is going to be great for underwater photography and biology. Second, research can confirm the wreck that you're actually diving. This is especially important with new sites or unidentified sites. Knowing the wreck's identity can tell you if there's any historical significance or if there's any special hazards to be aware of. And finally, research can point out features that you might otherwise overlook, like cargo holds, engine rooms, or any structural weaknesses. Now, on to planning a dive. When it comes to wreck diving, solid planning is key, because as we know, every wreck dive brings its own set of challenges. Start with depth. Wrecks often sit deeper than typical reef dives, which means shorter bottom time, higher air use, and more exposure to narcosis. Knowing the depth ahead of time will allow you to plan for your gas and your limits. Then, look at the currents. There are some wrecks that are going to be in areas with strong current, making entries, exits, and navigation more difficult. You'll also want to know the condition of the wreck and the water. Is the wreck intact or is it broken up? Are there sharp edges, any hazards? And pair that with the water conditions as well, like the visibility, the surge, and the temperature. All of this will impact how you approach the dive. And of course, don't skip the dive briefing. A good briefing will always cover the layout of the wreck, any hazards to watch out for, any cool things to see, and emergency protocols. Wreck diving is exciting, but it does take preparation. Evaluate the wreck, plan your route, consider the depth and consider the current, and always listen to the dive guide, because local insight does matter. With the right mindset, training, and equipment, wreck diving becomes one of the most unforgettable adventures in scuba diving. If you liked this episode, please share it to someone who can use this as a reference guide, and always get proper training and certification with a credible dive shop and instructor. We'll see you later, guys. Bye.